Okay, so if you can see this,
Hi.
we don't only have exit tickets, right? You can see this, right? We don't have a lot, we have exit tickets and we have a lot of VTRs as well. I think VTRs give us a very good idea of where the children stand. I've put it up in our Padlet as well. I don't know how many of you got it, but this is the Padlet link. And we've put in a lot of the resources that we usually use in class. Please highlight the reflection.
Okay, in the Padlet, we take the reflections through Padlet, right? Whatever it's done today in the classroom, the students reflect it through Padlet. If you're talking about reflection, can you make it more specific? Are you talking about students' reflection? Are you
Meenakshi, if
talking
you
about
could,
reflecting on?
Miss Meenakshi, could you just
Yes,
repeat
if
your
you're
question a
talking
little bit?
about yes, if you're talking about the reflection on virtual classes.
Miss Meenakshi, okay. Students reflecting, yes, we do that not only
Reflection on.
after every class, we do it after every lesson. So if we have 3 UI lessons, if we are completing one so what we've done, sorry, I should have started with that. We have synchronous lessons, right, from 9:30 to 1:20. That's for PYP. So we're online together on Zoom, and we have a couple of tasks that we usually send to them via email on their email addresses if we have asynchronous tasks, right? That includes homework, research, stuff like that. So we've stuck to our original POI. We've not created any new central ideas. What we've done is that in our morning meeting, we have kind of linked the current pandemic scene as well as what they're going through. We've related it to our unit as well because it was how we express ourselves. So I really feel, how many weeks did you so we're still going through. We have the last week from Monday onwards. We've had
Yes,
approximately
that's
4 weeks gone.
4.5. Yes,
Yes,
half week more to it, right? 3 more days to go in a week right now. From Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the last 3 days of the session we are having it. Students will join back in June then.
tentatively.
Yes.
So what we've done is we use a lot of VTRs. We mostly make the children write all of their notes or any note taking, anything that they have to write down. We make them type it down in Google Docs. We are using a lot of Google Sheets for our math lessons. We're able to complete a lot of our curriculum strands very, very seamlessly. I don't, Miss Tanya, would you like to shed a little light on this? I don't think that any of our virtual lessons are different from our usual class routine. Yes, differentiation is a little more difficult, but I think if we plan our lessons accordingly, uh, I think there's, our lessons were quite seamless. Ms. Tanya, would you like to share something?
The way we do it in the classroom, we started with the morning meeting and how the inquiry goes. All the inquiry cycle is being catered through virtual classes. We haven't done anything different from the classes we take face to face with the children, right? Students are doing the task themselves. We have created a Google Drive. Each child has their own Google folder in which they have 3 different sheets, and one for math, UI, and one other subject. And the students write their notes in it. Whenever they are watching a video, they make notes, the corner notes, make different types of notes we have taught them. They make notes on those Google Docs. We check them through Google Docs. It's easy for us to monitor them or to track their progress, what they're doing, how they are doing it. We check that there and then. We give the feedback there and then to the students through Google Docs. Students are tech savvy now. They can use, whenever the class starts, before starting, they open up their Google Docs. We share the instructions on our Google Docs or the screen we share with them, and then they start working on them. We give the prompt on it, and they start working on that prompt on their Google Docs.
Now, Tanya, were you saying that your school's finishing at the end of this coming week until June?
So
yes, yes, Ms. Amna, you can continue.
no, Miss Tanya, you can.
Okay, so you're asking that our classes are going to finish after 3 days. The students will, as our admin informed us, the student will join back to school in June, right? June 1st, the school will get open. We haven't get any till now. They've been saying that the schools will get open. The students will come to the school, but we assume that the virtual classes will continue in June also. So we will be planning for 1.5 month for how, like, what are the things we are going to improve uh, throughout this month, how we are going to take the curriculum. We were in between our PYP exhibition, which we stopped it, right? Because it was just a staging day left on. So we started with a new unit as from 24th of March when the students joined back the virtual classes. So we decided to do with the new unit because it was difficult for us to make them do the staging day. Everyone wasn't joining us at the same time. So if you take the targets or the curriculum, the scope and sequence, or what the learning engagements we plan or the objectives we had, it was easy for us to start with a new unit because we used to send the plan beforehand to the parents and the students a day before. So the day plan is always shared with them. So when they come in the morning, they actually know what to do and how are we going to do it. What are the reflection tools we're going to use. So they just take it through it daily. Because when we decided to take the new unit, because what if we with the staging day and the students join in it between, they might get like feel left out into it or might not get into what we are doing. So it's better to share the targets with them beforehand. So we started with the new unit this time.
Plus, all of our staging material was locked up in school. So, we decided the last unit would be a safer option. We knew what to do. We planned our things accordingly. Um, how do you manage families with poor internet connection? How do you bridge the missed days? How do students cope up with the inquiry cycle? Okay, manage families with poor internet connection. As Ms. Tanya has said, we send them the day plan uh, the evening before, right? So in case there are students with internet connectivity issues, quite this last week, we've had a lot of issues with Zoom as well. So children would get locked
Yes.
out, as in children would, they would log out and they couldn't join back. Zoom was taking a lot of time. They said that the server was busy, try again later. So what we did was we send the parents and the students the day plan before. So we tell them that in case you miss something, even during class lessons, it's okay. If you miss something, you have your day plan. We email the task separately as well in case there are any resources that we need to send, any reminders, any links. So we do that as well.
Plus, we have, just to add you on the Hangouts, we have a group with the students. We named the group Distance Learning. The students are in contact with us through that group. In the evenings also, whenever they do their homeworks or any help they need, we are in contact with them throughout through Google Hangouts. All the subject teachers are in the group with them. So if they are logged out or they are kicked out from the meeting in between via internet issues through them, they just come to the group and tell us that we cannot connect. So we keep on giving them tasks to them. Or if you're unable to connect through Zoom, we go to Google Meetings or Google Hangouts through video call. We are actually in contact with the students through that. So we have different mm, different tools we've used. It's not only Zoom we are using Google Hangouts and Google Meet also to give our lessons and be in contact with our students.
So our
Is
students
anybody else using Seesaw? We're using Seesaw very heavily.
we're using ManageBack. So ManageBack,
Ah, yes.
yes. So we use Seesaw. I think
PYP as well.
yes. So how do students cope up with the inquiry cycle? We make sure that because our students are used to the visual thinking routines, our objectives are very clear. What we started doing was we started making assessment criteria together. We've started discussing, like, the children, we've tried to give them as much agency even before school shut down. We were trying to give them as much of a say as possible. Now, in the virtual lessons, we let them know, you know, you don't want to do this. Okay, you have an option of this, this, this. What would you like to do now? So we keep the day plan, you know, open. And so we were initially, there's a question here. What about their output? Do you print them and file in their portfolio? What we've done is we take screenshots. We have recordings on Zoom. So we'll put that in their portfolios as well. We don't usually.
We have digital portfolios, yes.
Yes, we have digital portfolios. So we're gonna, you know, we put screenshots, we put the recordings on their portfolios. Another thing is that we weren't encouraged that students should email their work. That's why we put in Padlet. That's why we started Google Docs, because it's a lot easier for children who don't have a printer, who already have internet issues, who might not be so tech savvy that they'll be able to take screenshots, right? A lot of the children are using their parents' phones. So that really limits the tools and the options that they have. So when they're on Google Docs, all they have to do is they need to download the apps from before, and all they need to do during the lesson or even after the lesson, there are a lot of times where children say, oh, you know, we're downloading the app, you know, it's going to take time. So we've set a time limit. We say at 7 p.m. we're going to open up Google Docs and we'll go through your notes. I think Google Docs, the best thing about feedback is there's an option of suggesting. Instead of just leaving comments, you can suggest changes as well. So with the comments and the suggestions, I think the children's literacy levels, they've improved a lot. You know, they respond to their feedback as well. That wasn't the case when we were giving them feedback on their notebooks, and even verbal feedback. Verbal feedback at that time, they listen to it and they respond. But I think with Google Docs, they take the time to actually read through the things. Their parents obviously also have access to those documents. So they go through it together, and the response that they give is a lot more reflective, and it shows, you know, critical thinking. What will you do when this lockdown is over? When the lockdown is over, so there are two cases, right? Either school starts for real in June, like we go back physically to our campuses and continue with our lesson.
Face-to-face sessions, yes.
Face-to-face sessions. Or the other option is, in case schools don't open, we have one, so, you know, from Wednesday onwards, our summer break starts. So they are giving 1 month of summer break. In the Muslim countries, obviously, we have Ramadan coming up as well, where we'll be fasting. So the parents have really, you know, requested the admin that please don't take these classes during Ramadan timings.
Ramadan,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so we have a summer break of approximately 1 month. After 1 month, if they say that schools reopen, that's fine. We have our face-to-face sessions. Otherwise, we continue with our virtual lessons, and then we'll just have the staging of the PYPX to do. So 1 month, I think, is more than enough for us also to come up with a plan of how would we like to stage. Okay, yes, I've heard a lot of people using Microsoft Teams as well. Google Classroom, yes, it would really work. And a lot of the schools in Pakistan are usually using Google Classroom.
Google Classrooms, yes.
Yeah. Sample feedback that you did, what I'm now. Okay, Ms. Tanya, I'm just going to open one of the students' Google Notes. They want to see how the feedback is. If you do virtual, Ms. Tanya, there's another. If you do virtual with unit of inquiry, what about English, math, single subjects like music, PE, arts? Oh, yes. So our subject teachers were not very confident in taking the inquiry lesson in the beginning. But what we did was we invited everybody into our classrooms. We said, you know what, you take your time, even if it's not your lesson, just be there, see how it's going. So they, PSPE, art, music, they've all started with the unit of inquiry. They have
they're all integrating, yes. We actually, we actually gave them one meeting ID for the whole class. So all the subject teachers join in their time. And we used to be with them. Me and Ms. Hamna as a homeroom teacher stays with them. And when they're integrated, we keep on talking to them in the same manner. We refer to the same things, what they have learned in PSP or in.
I think her internet just went. Okay. So we are also there in their subject lesson time. Yeah, it's okay. So we're also, the homeroom teachers are with the subject teachers. We are on mute and we switch off our video. But obviously we can see what's happening. We've started using a lot of Google Forms. And I think that's an amazing way of formative assessment. Google Forms has really saved our lives because it's very comprehensive. It gives anonymity. We can share we can discuss the feedback or the input that the children have given without specifically naming any child. So I think Google Forms is one amazing way of formative assessments. We've used a lot of Google sites as well, especially when they want to research about the line of inquiry. I'm just going to share I'm just looking for the Google Drive. Somebody wanted to see the feedback that we've given. If you could just give me a second, I'll just open that up, and I can even show you the Google Forms that we've done. We've made shared drives on Google, so that gives us an edge. So there's one Google Drive which is just for planning, which we share with the subject teachers, and there's another shared drive that we have with the children. So in that, they have all their notes and any any links that we wanted. We put that in the Google Drive itself. Sorry, Miss Tanya, we your link got disconnected.
Yeah, disconnected. Yeah. This is what actually happens in our classroom also. That's why we've combined our classes. So me and Ms. Amna takes the classes together. So one of our links get down, the other take over the class. So this is the benefit of taking the class together, both the sections.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. So this is how we provide feedback for our students, right? Now, I was talking about shared drives. So you can see this. This one, it's just 2 people. That's me and Miss Tanya, and we've shared it with the subject teachers as well. And this virtual year 5 virtual learning notes. So if you can see, this is 5 blue, that's my class, 5 red is Miss Tanya's. And we have the student folders here. Each folder has the child's individual notes.
Yes, student has been given access to edit these notes.
Given access. I was talking about using Google Sheets for math, right? So here you can see we were doing mean median mode, right? So we made sheets for every child. The internet is outrageously slow. I'm so sorry. So you can see that, right? So they're finding stuff out on sheets. We even give them plotting access and plotting coordinates on sheets as well. So that was something that we did. You wanted to see the feedback that we give, right? So either we could comment like this, highlight a word and comment on it, or we could do suggestions. So if you could just, yes, this over here, right? So he's already corrected all those things, and he's marked my suggestions as done. I don't know how clear this is. Miss Tanya, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's visible.
What else? Our inquiry tracker, as we were talking about, right? So yes. If you look at our inquiry tracker, it has it's very comprehensive. It works as our unit plan. It works as a daily plan. It can work as any plan. So we have our objectives, our learning engagements, the resources that we need, the type of differentiation that we're going to do, the type of inquiry, the visual thinking routine, key concept, learner profile, the specific skill and sub-skill that we're targeting, assessment strategy, assessment tool. I'd like to show, just a second, I'd like to show you the Google form. If you could just give me a minute.
Yes, it is. And it helps us, this inquiry tracker helps us a lot, right? We keep on adding things into it, whatever we learn through different PDs. we keep on adding those things to our tracker just to track what are we doing, what the students are learning.
So after
yes, we are taking feedback through Google Forms.
So after we gave them a couple of learning engagements on coordinate planes, we did a small graded quiz because Pakistani parents, I think we share that with the subcontinent mentality. Unless you're not graded, you know, it doesn't give them that satisfaction that yes, my child has understood the concept. So we created a quiz, and what I loved about this was when we were sharing this with the children, nobody could see who answered what. So when we were discussing the feedback that we got from the students, they themselves knew what they answered and how they did, but it didn't really name or shame any specific student. And I really like that. It goes with the PYP philosophy. And I'm just going to read the chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. One more thing, that whenever we give them an article to read, right, it's always on the Google Docs. So when the link is shared with them, and if someone drops, like if someone is not on that article reading, we show it to them that who is online and who is actually reading.
Can you please, Miss? Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So here we can actually tell them that who is not reading it. We show it to them by sharing screens, that if someone says we are on it or we are reading it, so we show the screen to them that we can see who is online and who is reading. It's a very good tool, a very good Google Docs is actually, you can access students' progress, what they're doing, and can keep track of where they are and what are they doing at the moment. If their camera's off, even then if they're reading, you can just track them what they're doing.
Ms. Tanya, there's a question here. Are these suggested apps also applicable for ages 3 to 9? 3, no, I don't think so. 7, 8, 9 is okay. You know,
they are working.
3 is really small. My daughter's 4 years old, and the early years teachers, like, hats off to them. Virtual lessons with such small children, it's really difficult. I see my daughter, you know, she has the attention span of an ant. Like, she can't sit still. She walks off, she comes back in, and the apps that she uses, they're really nice, and then she emails it to me because I profusely apologize. I have lessons of my own, I can't sit with her, so my husband sits with the younger one. And obviously, you know, fathers just let daughters do whatever they want. So she emails me a lot of the resources back that, you know, we've done this, and the apps that she uses, they're really user friendly. Now, this is something that I would just like to, you know, reiterate. There's a lot of research that you have to do, but what Ms. Tan, if you could see from our tracker, right, it's very detailed, and the only reason that it's so detailed is that we do a lot of research anyway. So when you're researching, and now the best part is everybody's opened up their resources, right? Whatever was paid content before is now absolutely free. So that's an advantage, and I think we really need to, you know, we need to make use of that, because everybody's saying that till September, all of these apps are free. So early years are, yes, I'm so sorry, this is a year 5 teacher talking, but early years is a whole new department on its own. So I'm just gonna, there's less than a minute left. We can just rejoin using the same link and password. Yes, I will do that. Just give me a second. I'm ending the meeting and starting again.
Okay, so I'm on the mobile, that's why I can't see the chat. Any other questions?
Somebody wanted somebody wanted a sample of our tracker. Divyesh,
Okay.
you know, before the meeting started, you wanted to say something, but I think the audio wasn't clear. So if Divyesh, you could chat, or I've given you the option of unmuting yourself as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it. Oh, my battery's gonna die. And suddenly I can't find my charging.
If you are able to, okay. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes,
Hello.
you are audible, yes, and you are visible as well.
Yeah. Hi.
You asked a question that you started your classes with the Zoom and other applications. So yeah, I would like to add at that time also. that we already started our Zoom classes. I'm Divesh Dave. I'm an ICT faculty from COIS. So yeah, we and you know uh, our other faculty members also started the Zoom classes, and it is really very useful as a ICT person. I really very happy. I'm actually really very happy that my students are now find their own ways. They are not stuck with any single application or any single like MS Office family. Like if Word is not working, they are going to use Word paid or not paid. So they are learning actually these days. You know, we are guiding. Definitely, we are there for them. But yeah, they are learning a lot of things in technical manners. So that's it.
The students are actually figuring out themselves what to do and how to do it. They're
Yeah,
finding different ways to do it, yes. And that's
yeah,
why we put up the differentiation. We just write it down, stepped up activities. It is actually stepped up activity for them, right? Finding
exactly.
out all those new apps, which we never have used in our even studies or in our life, which the students are using now at this age.
Yeah. You are absolutely right, ma'am. And see, many times I suggest them to use these applications. These are the really very nice application and different application. Which is excuse me. It's a really very helpful. I don't think so, Miss. At that time, I thought, okay, they are listening me or not, but I can see the output. I can see the final outcome from their side. They are doing English, they are doing maths, they are doing so many languages, so many subject they are learning. But the base is ICT. Means they are
True.
preparing English language. They are preparing assessment of the English language or math. They are doing, economy. They are doing so many things. But what is the base ICT? Because they are using PowerPoint, they are using Word, they are using presentation, they are doing animations. They attach their document in emails. They are sending emails. So many things. So yeah, technically they are really very nice now. They are growing actually.
True.
Okay, that's it from my side.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much to give me a chance.
Mhm.
Okay.
If this lockdown continues, do you see each unit running 4 weeks? What we did was, because this was how we express ourselves, and we had a performing art unit, right? So we are going to finish it in 4.5 weeks. We have done a very thorough finding out, like a finding out stretched out, sorting out, going further, making conclusions. It kind of gelled together. It was a very organic process. So I don't think that we really hurried it up or we pushed the students to force them into something. It was a very nice, natural, organic inquiry. And as part of their action plan, they want to perform, different a song or rap, role play, all related to the
Yeah.
pandemic, COVID 19. So
And usually the unit of inquiries are for 4 to 6 weeks, right? So we have taken 4.5 weeks for it almost. So I think they were enough for them to, because the 8 weeks, 7.5 weeks, 7 weeks they've given to the exhibition unit. So I think they were actually equipped, and they knew a lot of things too when we were starting up the new unit. So we didn't take a lot of time to we planned the summative task with them, and they knew everything how to do and what to do it through the checklist rubrics they've made themselves.
and I really think that our online lessons, because we've used Padlet, right? It really helps personal inquiries as well. The children write down their questions, right? Initially, I thought of putting up a Wonderwall column separately on the Padlet, but I didn't want it to get too crowded, because then obviously, a lot of the children, they look at a lot of writing, and they kind of freak out. So the feedback for teachers, right? So they have those questions, they have their queries right then and there, and then next day we give them a chance to look into it. How do we meet the needs of children with special needs? So obviously, right, we have inclusive schools. this is where differentiated instructions come in. Look, you know, far, far, far from a guru. It's a trial and error method. We ask for parent, you know, collaboration. Miss Tania has a SEN child in her class, and her parent is a very involved one, and she knows the needs of her child, so she gives them she gives her independent time as well. She knows those tasks that will, because we send the day plan, so she knows tasks that will be difficult for that child. The parent does sit with them.
Yes, plus I must say that this is the last unit we are doing. So we already equipped our students for a lot of things. So the child, which I worked a lot with her to make her independent. So at the time when she's sitting for the virtual classes, a lot of work she does by herself. So this was easy for us because we were doing the last unit with the students. So they already knew a lot of things about unit of inquiry.
Any other questions? I'm just putting up our inquiry tracker on the Padlet that we have. If we have no more questions, then I guess we are done. How to use a Padlet. Right, okay, so you go to www.padlet.com, right? I'm going to share.
Samna, you can share the screen so that they can know what to do.
Yeah, just a second. I'm just going to put the Padlet link again. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is the Padlet link here, right? Either you can copy paste the link or you can click on the link and it'll take you directly to Padlet.
Or you want to make your own, want to ask this?
I'm going to share my screen. Right. So, you know, the problem is that Zoom is recording our meeting and it's transferring the, it's converting the file, right? I'm so sorry, you'll see this black color thing over here. So the Padlet link that I've shared with you right here, you go to padlet.com and you can either create your own Padlet. It gives you from the word go. I'm going to give you the home screen, right? So this is what Miss Tania and my Padlet looks like. So you can just this one over here. You need to create a new Padlet, and it lets you do. It guides you. You know, what format do you want to use? Because if you look at this one, the one that we use for our students, it's very different from the one that I've made for you guys. This one. So it gives you the format. It lets you choose the format as you feel like it.
The way you want.
Yeah, this is more of a column format. You can have a row format. You can have a chat, you know, chat room type one. I really like this timeline one, so I'm doing this timeline. I'm going to download my my inquiry tracker and put it in the resource.
For it. Plus, we want to add something. Like last week, we were doing the Zoom breakout rooms. Ms. Amni, would you like to tell them about it? Yeah, that was the amazing thing we have done in the last week. We have actually made groups for the summative task. The students were working in groups. Zoom gave us the option of breakout rooms. And Ms. Amna actually is very good in IT. So she come up with all these things and let us know that we can use these things and students can come into groups and work within the groups. These breakout rooms we made 3 breakout rooms in which me and Ms. Amna were also there. And the students were working. They really enjoyed those breakout rooms working together. They were on the Google Docs, sharing their writing, and they were in the separate rooms also. So after some time, they joined back the main session then.
So this is, I really like this about Zoom. I don't know about the other apps that, like, I know that Google Classroom doesn't do that. or maybe I haven't really used Google Classroom so much that I know, you know, about it in depth.
That might also have options in it, but
Yeah.
the way we are using Zoom and we're exploring it a lot.
So one thing that I love about Zoom is this virtual background. It gives me privacy. The kids love it, right? It's something to talk about. It gets them really excited. This is a new skill that they're learning. So I like this. And what I love about Zoom is the breakout room. So a breakout room is you can create a couple of breakout rooms in this main classroom. So right now we have around 23 participants, right? Now, because I am the host has the option of this breakout room. You can create 3, 4, 5, 6, as many as breakout rooms as you want. And you group the students up. It's basically for small group settings, right? So the kids love it because it gives them the privacy and the space and the time that they need to work individually, or even in really small groups like 2s and 3s, right? You open the Google Doc, there are 2 people writing at the same time, they're collaborating, they're chatting on Google Hangouts, they can even chat on Google Docs as well. So it gives them a lot of real-time feedback. So yes,
collaboration is collaboration is possible because of this. Through Google Docs and these breakout rooms, they just in small groups they collaborate and complete their tasks. That's why we are saying that we haven't done anything different from our actual classrooms. We've been doing the same. It's just to
I think her link went down again. Miss Tanya?
I'm here.
Sorry. You stopped, so I said maybe.
Yeah, actually, there was a call coming.
Okay, we have a question. Do you give report cards? We have 4 quarterly sessions. Miss Tanya, would you like to talk about it?
Yes, we send the reports with the parents. We share the reports with the parents 4 times. We call it PR1, Progress Report 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is divided into like January to March. And then from after that, it's we send it 3 months quarter. Yes, we give them the report, right? We mark the students on the strands from the scope and sequence. We took it from the IB scope and sequence and aligned with our own curriculum. And we share it with the parents. After 3 months, after 2 reports, we share it. The second report we send the report of the unit of inquiries that we call student-led conference. That's why we have SLC in our schools, and where the students actually present their portfolios to the parents and tell them what they have done throughout 3 to 4
units,
months or 5 months into it. We have 2 SLC in the year and 4 progress reports we share with the parents. We have digital portfolios where the students actually reflect on each phase of the inquiry and then share it with the parents afterwards.
She's asking, or any summary or anecdotal records. So that report card, it has comments. It has a comment section. After we've graded them on their academics and their extracurricular stuff, we have a teacher comment, so we give them that. Will you give it to the parents digitally? Yes, we do that.
We email it to them.
Thank you, no problem. Any other questions that you have that we could, that you want answered? So we've spoken about assessment, we've spoken about reflection.
We try to share all the success stories.
Yes, all subjects.
What we have done throughout.
PSP is collaborating with these report cards. Every subject that we have, right? They all have their own. They have their own area. So we have music, we have PSPE, we have visual arts, we have foreign languages.
Foreign language.
Mother tongue. The national language Urdu. What else?
I want to add that we put these portfolios on Google Slides. So it's shared with all the subject teachers as well as the students. They open up their own presentation, own slides, fill up with them themselves. The teachers work collaboratively. They see what Ms. Amna does or me do it. And then the subject teachers are working with us. In the end, we download it and send it to the parents.
Ms. Tanya, there's a question. What is e-portfolio and how does it work?
Okay. So the e-portfolio is a digital portfolio. and we put it on the, it's mainly a PowerPoint, right? We share the students, why do we do it digitally? Obviously we want it to be paper free now, and the students collaborate. We put it on Google Slides so that students can do it themselves, the teachers do it themselves, they see each other's works to know what are they doing in the other, like all the unit of inquiry or the inquiry cycle is shared with all the subject teachers, so we do it collaboratively. Ms. Amna, if you'd like to share a screen with them and tell them how do we
Yeah.
do it, it's just
So
showing it to them.
basically a portfolio, right? In PYP, portfolio works for student work. What can we do? You can do it with Google Doc, you can do it with Google Slides, you can do it with Google Sites. You know, it's your option. If I could just share my screen once again, I'm going to show you. This is our, so for our
e-portfolio
virtual lesson, right? Initially, before we shared all of this, our planning, as I told you before, shared drives may, this one. This is year 5 shared resources, right? Between classes and stuff. And you want to see how our portfolio looks like. So, so instead of, in another previous school that I was working in, they had like files where they would put papers and stuff. But, you know, the world has advanced. You're working in an IB school, you're talking about, you know, approaches to learning. And one of that is digital literacy. Right now, we're forced to do a lot of digital literacy. But other than that, even under normal circumstances, right, this is how we should be doing things. So it has, you know, it has a little run up on what your unit
yeah
of
the
inquiry
first
is.
slide, yes.
Yeah, and then you can see, right, you have reflections for these skills, concepts, learner profile, a KWL chart, and this is your inquiry cycle. So the child is reflecting on the inquiry cycle in real time in their e-portfolios. This is what Ms. Tanya was talking about. These portfolios are sent twice in a year, right? This is where the SLC happens. They reflect on their journey in each unit of inquiry, and then they present all of this work to their parents. We also have gallery walks, right? We call them inquiry walks. They're usually outside. They're known as,
after every unit.
yeah. So the parents are called in, and the work that the children have done during that unit, it's displayed in their class. You know, from the beginning, from tuning in till taking action. They have whatever the summative task was, whatever formative assessments we had, whatever work that they've done throughout the unit, the parents are able to see in that one unit of inquiry walk. And the other,
This is actually we prepare our students for the PYP exhibition, right? So through these inquiry walks, they're able to present their work. So in the end, when they do it for year 5, they're well equipped for all these skills.
So this portfolio you can do on anything. You can do it on, you know, PowerPoint. You can do it on slides, sites. I prefer using Google because it lets you collaborate in real time. But with the Microsoft 365, right, it also lets you collaborate with others. So it's up to you what your school is using. Question is, how did your teachers prepare for this virtual learning?
Okay, so yes, before starting the session, we've been asked to go to actually explore Zoom by ourselves. So we did meetings on Zoom with our PYPC. We did meetings with ourselves, with each other. We collaborate through Zoom meetings. We have Zoom meetings with our own children. I must say that my daughters are also in the same school. So I started meetings with them first, right, just to explore how does it work. We did it with the other teachers. So this is the way we equipped ourselves how to do it. Our administration actually held 2 to 3 professional development sessions in which they trained us for the Google Forms, how to use them, how to use Zoom. So they set up the meetings on the Zoom to let us know all the tools and to explore it.
They also sent us documents, you know, like do's and don'ts, you know, stuff that we need to keep in mind, you know, policies that were in place. So that's how we prepared for virtual classes. How many days a week take you all teachers to collaborate. So we collaborate in school as well. On WhatsApp, we have our own group. That's the year 5 teachers. So all subject teachers that are teaching year 5 are in that group. So we would, we would tell them, okay, at this time we have a meeting. At that time we have a meeting. We call each other up. We make notes down. What are you doing? What am I doing? We share the inquiry tracker with everybody, with all our teachers, so that everybody is kind of on the same page. Ms. Tanya, would you like to add something?
No, thank you. They were using the same the WhatsApp groups for all the learning engagements we're doing in the school. So we all are actually used to all these things. So nothing was new what we were doing.
Any other questions? Miss, how do you manage doing virtual learning and taking care of your family?
Wow.
It's difficult.
Gets off. We go to the kitchen and for the cooking. That's it.
So the advantage is that I told you, right? So I know a lot of schools who are doing virtual lessons just like their actual timetables in like physical classrooms. And I think that kind of destroys the point of virtual learning. I think the policy that our school has adopted, where they have I'm talking about PYP, right? You have a half an hour lesson, synchronous time with the teacher. You have a 10-minute break where you are encouraged to leave the screen, walk around, eat, just stay away from the screen. Then you come back and you take your class. So I think our timetable is quite flexible, right? To be honest.
Set in a way. Yes.
Yeah, set in a way that it gives you like breathing space. And as a teacher, I think, anyways, you're so used to juggling because there's a lot of work to be done. And with this virtual lessons, I think, yes, we do get tired more. It's more consuming, maybe because it's new, maybe because we're learning a lot. There are a lot of hiccups on the way and nobody has a solid foolproof plan, right? Things go wrong. When you're in the subcontinent, you have internet connectivity issues. Your children are not attending. You have children who have different needs. How are we catering to that? Our assessments, everything, it gives you a lot of food for thought, and it's a work in progress. I don't think we have a magic formula that works for all. It's totally up to you how you manage and organize things. But I think for virtual lessons, even in physical teaching as well, you need to be very organized. You have to have your resources in hand, because sometimes those things don't work. So you need to have at least 2-3 activities where you know that, okay, if this didn't work, let's switch to this. So it gives children a lot of choice as well. They don't get bored. Miss Tania has left. Okay, so there's a question saying, how do we deal with comments from parents? To be very, very honest, we have very, at least like face-to-face, and the comments that we get through our administration, our parents have been very encouraging. Mostly because we've kept flexible timings, we've kept breaks in between, we've not kept the usual school routine. It's from 9:30 to 1:20, right? And obviously the children are not, they're not rote learning. We're giving them interactive activities, and as I said, there's a lot of choice that we give. We had a comment from a parent who said that, we can't access Flash because it's old fashioned. So don't put that in your classes. So it's okay. Now we're very conscious of the fact that whatever doesn't work for everybody, we don't put that in. How do you deal with students who say, I do not like virtual learning anymore? I would suggest that we have a plethora of activities, interactive activities where children learn in real time, where children have, it challenges them a little. I'm not a math teacher, right? I'm not a math person. So math is something that kind of scares me a little. And I was really scared about doing it virtually because, when you're in class, you have physical face-to-face, you are able to go to the child and explain to them like physically. Here, obviously, you're all in your own separate houses. But I think you have to have like different engagements. We had a video, we had a couple of games, then we had a Google form quiz. Give them things that are new, that aren't so difficult to master. Give them time to master it. Don't give them repetitive activities, because it really takes the buzz out of learning.
Yeah, but on the Padlet we have one column. Sorry. Yes, please.
Miss Tanya, you can speak. I was just reading the questions. There's another question.
Okay. On Padlet, we have a column where the students give us a feedback of their lessons. So we keep on catering to things. We try to add the so that in classrooms, then they are engaged. They like to be part of that classroom also.
Yes. So our parents and our students, alhamdulillah, have been very supportive. They understand that we do have challenges, and they're very patient with us. We're very patient with them. It's a give and take. There's a question, Miss. How do you differentiate teaching during virtual classes? So if you look at our inquiry tracker, right, we have like stepped up activities. We have pace yourself activities. And like I said, we give them a range of things to do in one class. So in that 1 30-minute lesson, we have a video where we share the link with everybody, because obviously, internet can lag, your sound is not clear. So we send a link for the video. We have discussion activities, we have reflection activities on the Padlet. We have Google Sheets, practice sessions. Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, we do. We've just started our drama lessons, because drama is part of our extracurricular thing. So we have on Zoom, they are taking drama lessons right now. If the students do not pass on the set date, pass the task for after 2 weeks, what do you do? Sorry, I did not get this. If the students do not pass on the set date, pass the tasks after 2 weeks. Miss, could you just unmute yourself and be a little more clear? Ma'am, Miss Sheena?
If the students do not pass the assigned task, required task, how do you handle it?
So what we do is we give them ample of time. We don't just give them the day, because you do have internet connectivity. Children who go back to their villages, there's a very real problem of internet connectivity. So we give them manageable tasks, right? We don't tell them that if class gets over at 1:20, at 3 o'clock, you need to put that in. No, we give them the weekend. We give them a week and a half. We email the parents saying that, look, these tasks are not done for the sake of it. They're being done because we're assessing the students on that given strand or objective. So you email the parents, you counsel the children, you give them reminders regularly. And like Ms. Tanya said before, right, we have a hangout chat thing with the students. So we send them reminders there as well. If we've answered all the questions, then we can end the meeting. Thumbs up if we've had a good session and we've answered all questions. If you have any further questions, you can put it up on the Padlet. I'm going to give you the Padlet link just one more time, and then we can end the meeting. Oh, I got a lot of thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys have been very kind. You've been a very, very wonderful audience. Thank you very, very much. Right. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.